Hello friends, today I take up a new topic and the name of the topic is Verdict of Pakistani Supreme Court to Restore National Assembly. Its implication in domestic politics of Pakistan and India. So this is the landmark judgment delivered by Pakistani Supreme Court after a long gap, and this is a decisive judgment whereby the rule of law will be established in Pakistan, the supremacy of the constitution will be established, and its earlier stand of law of necessity that the Supreme Court of Pakistan invented in the wake of the imposition of military dictatorship in Pakistan in 1958 by Ayub Khan. Now this doctrine of necessity has been completely reversed, and so this is a good omen for the development of the parliamentary democracy and the constitutional supremacy of Pakistan. Friends, why I am telling you? Because you know that suppose I will give you an example by which you can understand the political mechanism, the power mechanism in Pakistan by a pie chart. For example, this is the Pakistan. Now, under this, within this pie chart, this is Punjab, Pakistani Punjab, and within this Pakistani Punjab, it is the military supremacy. So what you see, Pakistan, now this is Punjab, and now and within this diagram or circle, this is a minuscule circle, and this is Pakistani military. So what you see, that Pakistani military have exercised power since the inception of Pakistan in 1947. And friends, you know that first Prime Minister Liaquat Ali Khan was murdered in 1951. Now, this military regime always exercised its power and always bypassed the parliament, the supremacy of constitution. India and Pakistan both became dominant countries. Now on 26 January 1950, India declared itself a republic state, whereas Pakistan could not complete its constitution by 1956. Till then, Pakistan remained as a dominion state, whose head of state was the Queen of Britain. Now, in 1956, the constitution was promulgated in Pakistan, but within 2 years, that constitution was thrown into winds, and the military regime under Ayub Khan was clamped in Pakistan, which continued till 1973. So what you see, that why I am telling you that it is within Pakistan, it is Punjabi Suba which dominates other Subas. Pakistan has 4 provinces: Pakistani Punjab, Sindh, Balochistan and Khyber Pakhtunkhwa. Earlier it was called Northwestern Frontier. Now what you see, that Pakistani Punjab has predominance in National Assembly or the political life of Pakistan. Out of 342 members of National Assembly, 141 members comes from Pakistani Punjab. So Punjabis dominate in all walks of life, and around 65% of the total population of Pakistan comes from Punjab. Now the military, maximum, I mean 85% military or army officers come from Punjabi Suba, and that's why what you see, that Punjab dominates in military, in political life and economic life, social life of Pakistan. And that's why a kind of military oligarchy has developed in Pakistan, which always try to subvert the supremacy of constitution, the better running of the parliamentary democracy, the legitimacy of the Pakistani political parties in the eyes of the people. And that's why we see that no prime minister in Pakistan completed its full term of 5 years since the inception of Pakistan in 1947. So friends, you see that military dominates. And why? Because military officer thinks that they are only the savior of Pakistan, which is divided among different ethnic groups, number one. And number two, it has always desired to have parity with India, and that's why it imported large scale military equipment to wage war against India. And friends, you see that in 1948, in 1965, 71, and then Kargil War in 1919. 4 wars were waged by Pakistan against India in order to establish its parity with India. Now, because of the posturing of militarism, the political process did not develop in Pakistan like in India, and that's why there has never been a regular election in Pakistan. No prime minister could complete its full terms. There were 4 military dictators who ruled Pakistan for more than 32 years. So this is the situation, and in the backdrop of the historical perspective of the political development in Pakistan, this judgment is the landmark judgment. And so now I come to the point, why is it in the news? Now friends, before proceeding to our main points, I would like to request you to subscribe my channel AJIS Academy Indore, and you will get numerous videos on YouTube and my Facebook page. So now let us start the proceeding. Why is it in the news? Friends, you might have read in newspaper that Pakistani Supreme Court struck down on Thursday the ruling of the Deputy Speaker Qasim Suri, whereby he dismissed no confidence motion moved by opposition parties, opposition alliance party headed by Shahbaz Khan. Now, Deputy Speaker dismissed no confidence motion against PM on the basis of the allegation that opposition party hatched conspiracy against the incumbent Prime Minister Imran Khan to dislodge him from his post, and this foreign conspiracy is therefore because of the foreign policy, no confidence motion is not maintainable. And that's why he dismissed and took the alibi of Article 5 of the Constitution, whereby it is mandated upon all citizens of all citizens of Pakistan to be loyal to the state of Pakistan and to observe obedience to the Constitution of Pakistan. There are 2 points written under Article 5 of the 1973 Pakistani Constitution, which is operative at present. So this article was taken as an alibi to dismiss the no confidence motion moved by the opposition parties against the incumbent Prime Minister Imran Khan. Now, what is he? Now, Prime Minister advised President to dissolve National Assembly, and immediately President Arif Alvi dissolved National Assembly. And it was, he started the process of election within 3 months. Now, Election Commission was directed that election should be completed within 3 months. Now, a 5 bench headed by the Chief Justice Bandyal declared the ruling of Deputy Speaker Qasim Suri as unconstitutional. It restored the National Assembly, revoked the dissolution of National Assembly, and the bench restored the National Assembly and the order of the Speaker, Deputy Speaker, to call the session of National Assembly. The Supreme Court also directed that the National Assembly must be convened on 9th April at 10 a.m. for no confidence motion. So the order is very much explicit. The judgment was delivered by 5-0. There was complete unanimity among judges when they delivered judgment regarding the unconstitutionality of the ruling of Deputy Speaker Qasim Suri. Now, this judgment is a landmark judgment. Why? Because this will strengthen the democratic forces in Pakistan. It will weaken the stranglehold of military regime in Pakistan, which are controlling other institutions of Pakistan. So the hold of military officers will weaken, and no military officer now onwards would dare to impose military dictatorship in Pakistan after this landmark judgment. Now I switch over to historical perspective of the growth of democracy in Pakistan. Friends, as you know that Pakistan was built on the foundation of faulty two-nation theory, that Hindus and Muslims are two different nations. Their food habits, their dress code, their thinkings, their histories are completely or diametrically opposite to one another, and that's why they can't remain along with one another. And that's why Muhammad Ali Jinnah demanded Pakistan for those areas where Muslims form majority. And with the connivance of the British imperialism, Muhammad Ali Jinnah succeeded in carving out an independent Pakistan. But you see that this Pakistan was an ideological state based upon the religious affinity. And friends, you see that this logic of religious affinity was torn asunder with the birth of Bangladesh in 1972. So, what you see that Pakistan became a dominion state after the partition of India in 1947, and thereafter Muhammad Ali Jinnah became its first governor general, but he died in 1948, and the Constituent Assembly he formed could not complete its work, and the making of constitution continued till 1956. Now in 1951, the Prime Minister Liaquat Ali Khan was murdered. So you see that in 1956 constitution was thrown into winds by the new dictator Ayub Khan, and Ayub Khan usurped power by throwing out the President Iskandar Mirza. Now and he took all powers in his hand and declared himself as the new president of Pakistan. In 1962, the Supreme Court invented a new theory, and that theory was the doctrine of necessity, whereby Supreme Court contended that it is in the national interest of Pakistan to have military regime or dictatorship in Pakistan for the maintenance of law and order, to deal with the corrupt politicians. And so Supreme Court stamped the legitimacy of the military dictatorship, and this doctrine of necessity was very much exploited by military dictators later on. And we see that after Ayub Khan, Yahya Khan, Ziaul Haq, and then Parvez Musharraf captured power in Pakistan. So you see that because Supreme Court did not take a strict stand, and the casualty was Constitution of Pakistan, the parliamentary democracy, its democratic institutions. So what you see that militarism penetrated deep into all walks of life. Now, when the political system became so much brazenly corrupt, people joyed over the promulgation of military dictatorship. Now, in 1962, a new constitution was formed by Ayub Khan, whereby he took all powers in his hands, and it was a kind of presidential form of government. In 1969, his acolyte Yahya Khan took over reins of power from Ayub Khan. In 1970, a new election was conducted, whereby the Eastern Bengal, under National Awami League, the total seats went in favor of National Awami League, while Pakistan People Party headed by Zulfikar Ali Bhutto got majority in Western Pakistan. In 1971, there has been a war between India and Pakistan, which resulted into the birth of a new country called Bangladesh in 1972. Now in 1973, a new constitution under Zulfikar Ali Bhutto was made, and by this constitution a parliamentary form of government was formed, in which the executive head was Prime Minister and the nominal head or the representation of the state unity was the President of Pakistan, like in India. So in 1977, again Ziaul Haq subverted the constitution of 1973 and whereby he overthrew his mentor Zulfikar Ali Bhutto, and he continued up to 1988. He hanged his mentor Zulfikar Ali Bhutto. He continued to rule over Pakistan for the next 11 years, and thereafter he was killed in an air crash. But in 1999, again Pervez Musharraf overthrew the incumbent Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif and continued to rule till 2007, when he had to resign on account of the impeachment proceedings in Parliament against him. Now, Ghulam Ishaq Khan dismissed both Benazir Bhutto. In 1988, Benazir Bhutto became the Prime Minister of Pakistan. She remained on that post for 2 years, but in 1990, President dismissed her, and then in 1993, Nawaz Sharif was also dismissed. So Nawaz Sharif became Prime Minister of Pakistan thrice, but he never completed full term. Now in 2017, Nawaz Sharif had to resign on account of the corruption charges proved in the Supreme Court. Since the creation of Pakistan, no Prime Minister could complete his full tenure. In its history of 75 years, 32 years were ruled by military dictators. Now I go for a special features of Pakistani constitution. Friends, as you know that our constitution stipulates a secular state. In our preamble, there is clear-cut mention of republic, democratic, socialist, secular form of government. Now in Pakistan, what you see, that it wants to establish an Islamic state. It mentions the name of Allah and the founder of Pakistan, Quaid-e-Azam Jinnah, in its preamble, whereas in our preamble there is no mention of religion, no mention of our father of nation Mahatma Gandhi. So what you see, that an Islamic state was founded by 1973 constitution. Similarly, we see Afghanistan, Bangladesh establishes an Islamic state. In Sri Lanka, it is a Buddhist state. In Myanmar, it is a Buddhist state. So around its neighbors, only India is a country which is a secular state. Again, parliamentary form of government is the main feature, whereby the executive power is vested in the Prime Minister and his cabinet, and President is the nominal head. Like in India, 2 houses of parliament, National Assembly, it is a lower house and it has 342 members, while Senate, it has 100 members. All 4 states send equal representation in Senate. So what you see, here is a difference. In our country, all members, all 542 members are elected by a constituency on the basis of adult suffrage, on the principle of first past system. Now in Pakistan, what you see, that in a house of 342 members, 60 members are women, 10 members are religious minorities, and these 60 and 10 members are elected on the basis of proportional representation by single transferred votes. So you see that it is a mix of direct election and proportional representation, whereas in our country the lower house is represented by the direct election by the people. Again, our Rajya Sabha, the upper house, is composed of representatives from different states, where most populous states send more members in Rajya Sabha. For example, the most populous state, UP, sends 31 members in Rajya Sabha, whereas MP, Madhya Pradesh, sends 11 members in Rajya Sabha because of lesser population, while a smaller state send 1 or 2 members in Rajya Sabha. But in Pakistan, what is it? Its upper house Senate is composed of equal representation by its 4 states like Sindh, Punjab, Balochistan and Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, irrespective of their population, and it is like Senate of the US as far as the composition is considered. As far as the composition of Senate is concerned, in USA, what we find, each state sends only 2 members to Senate, comprising of 100 members. So a vast state like California only sends 2 members. And similarly, in Pakistan, what we find, that a vast state like Punjab, whose population is 65% of the total population of Pakistan, now sends equal number of senators like other states of Pakistan. So now, like in our country, the fundamental rights of security of life and liberty, safeguard for arrest and detention, slavery, forced labor are prohibited. In our constitution, Article 23 and 24 declare complete abolition of slavery and child labor. And so in Pakistan, what you see, the life and liberty that has been guaranteed, and like in our constitution, which is guaranteed under Article 21 of the constitution. Similarly, protection against retrospective punishment, and this right is available in our constitution under Article 21, whereby any criminal act cannot have a retrospective effect, but in civil matters retrospective effects can be made. So freedom of association, assembly, movement, trade, business, profession, speech, to profess religion and to manage religious institution, protection of property rights, equality of citizens. All these rights, all these fundamental rights have been guaranteed under Pakistani constitution, like in our constitution, where under Article 19 we have got freedom of speech and expression, right to have trade, to have assembly, to manage religious institution and to profess religion, and this right is enshrined under Article 25, 26, 27, 28 of our constitution. Equality of citizen is also available in our country under Article 14 of the Constitution. To promote the Islamic way of life, because since Pakistan is an Islamic country, that's why it wants to promote the Islamic way of life. It wants to establish Sharia Council. Protection of minorities is also guaranteed in our constitution, like our constitution under Article 29 and 30 of the Constitution. Protection of social justice, eradication of social evils. Similarly, a strengthening of bonds with Muslim world and promoting international peace. And friends, you know that under Article 51 of our constitution also promotes international peace. While in Pakistani constitution, what we find? A strengthening of bonds with Muslim countries. Why? Because Islam believes in Ummah. What does this mean, Ummah? It is Islamic brotherhood. So the principle is that wherever Muslims are, religion has no relevance at all. All Muslim brethren are one, guided by the principle of Islam, irrespective of the country they reside in. So this principle of Ummah supposes Islamic brotherhood among Muslims. And that's why the new constitution in 1973 wants a strengthening of bonds with Muslim countries like Iran, Saudi Arabia, Indonesia, Malaysia, all these Muslim dominated countries. And one of the important features of the Pakistani foreign policy is to strengthen the bonds among Muslim countries, and that's why Pakistan is a dominant member in Organization of Islamic Countries, OIC. Constitution establishes a welfare state like our constitution under Article 37, and now stipulates full participation of women in national life. So you see that Pakistani constitution prohibits any discrimination on the ground of sex like our constitution under Article 15, 16, 14. Now I switch over to another point. Difference between India and Pakistani constitution. Although Pakistani constitution stipulates a parliamentary form of government, but there are certain differences that we must take note of. Number one, Pakistani constitution establishes an Islamic country, whereas Indian constitution establishes a secular state. Pakistan constitution mentions freedom of the press, but this freedom is subject to the glory of Islam, and it has a regressive and widely abused blasphemy law that carries mandatory death penalties, and freedom of religion is available only to the citizen of Pakistan. Here, Indian constitution completely deviates, whereby as far as the right to religion is concerned, as far as the right to minorities are concerned, this is available both to citizens and individuals in India. So the law of blasphemy is also very much regressive, and that's why we see that Ahmadiyya Muslims now has been declared heretics in Pakistan, and they have been declared non-Muslims. So what you see that in Pakistani constitution only Muslims can become Prime Minister and President of Pakistan, whereas in India anybody, any citizen, even those people who have acquired Indian citizenship can become the head of the state, can become the Prime Minister of India. But in Pakistan only Muslim can become Prime Minister and President. So here is a difference. Again, the law of blasphemy is very much a regressive law. It must be done away with if Pakistan wants to achieve the full blossom of parliamentary form of government. There is no harm in the glory of Islam. There is no problem at all. But the law of blasphemy must be done away with if Pakistan wants to have a strong democratic setup in its country. Now in Pakistan, what you see that there is a provision in Article 58 whereby it is clearly written that whenever a Prime Minister resigns, so what you see that a caretaker Prime Minister takes over, whereas in India incumbent PM functions as caretaker Prime Minister during an election. Again, in Pakistan, right to privacy has been guaranteed, and this has been declared as a fundamental right in the Constitution of India. Similarly, PM in Pakistan is elected by the National Assembly. Here there is no role for President of Pakistan. And similarly, there is no role of Governor of a Pakistani Suba while electing the Chief Minister. Why? Because National Assembly appoints Prime Minister, a person who enjoys majority of the House. But in our country, what we find? That it is the prerogative of the President of India to appoint a person who holds majority in the lower house. It is under the subjective assessment of the President that the person who are chosen to lead, to become the Prime Minister may not enjoy the majority of the lower house, I mean Lok Sabha, and that's why after giving oath to a particular leader as Prime Minister, President also directs Prime Minister to take the vote of confidence of lower house. Whereas in the Pakistani Constitution, there is no provision of taking confidence of the house, because the house, I mean lower house itself chooses a leader as Prime Minister who enjoys majority in the house. In India, election commissions are appointed by President of India on the recommendation of the Prime Minister. Now, these election commissioners are generally from IS cadres. In Pakistan, election commissioners are from the sitting judge or the retired judge of Supreme Court or High Court. In India, all members of the lower house are elected directly on the principle of the first post, first past system. Once a no confidence motion is moved against the incumbent Prime Minister, he shall not recommend dissolution of National Assembly. There is no such provision in India. Why? Under Article 58, you see that Pakistani Constitution stipulates that whenever no confidence motion is moved against the Prime Minister, then he will have no right to recommend dissolution of the National Assembly. And this has been clearly stipulated in its explanation. So here the Deputy Speaker Qasim Suri erred in delivering judgment and by dismissing the no confidence motion. Why? The incumbent Prime Minister Imran Khan was facing no confidence motion for the last 1 month, and that has to be decided. And once under Article 58 a Prime Minister faces no confidence motion, he ceases to be Prime Minister in a strict sense of the word, and he has no right to recommend dissolution of National Assembly. Senate cannot be dissolved. It is a permanent house like Rajya Sabha in our country. So, National Assembly cannot be dissolved on the recommendation of the Prime Minister who is facing no confidence motion. But President can dissolve National Assembly if the no confidence motion moved against the Prime Minister succeeds and no other leaders come forward to have majority in the House. And so in that situation, President will have no option but to dissolve National Assembly and to conduct election within 90 days. This is the provision in Pakistani Constitution. Now this is party position in Pakistan National Assembly. Friends, you know that Imran Khan, the present incumbent Prime Minister, was chosen Prime Minister in 2018 general election. His party, Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf, PTI, did not get majority on its own. It got only 133 seats. Now with the support of other parties like PMQ, Grand Democratic Alliance or Balochistan Alliance parties or AML and small parties, he managed to secure 178 MPs in his favor, and that's why with the connivance of military regime, there is a popular perception in Pakistan that Imran Khan became Prime Minister on account of the support from the powerful military regime. Now, you see that because of the inflationary trend, Pakistan is now suffering from economic crisis like Sri Lanka, where the inflation has reached to 12%. The life of people has become very much miserable. 50% of the Pakistani people are below poverty line. 50% of the Pakistanis are below poverty line. And what you see? Because of the adverse balance of payment, what you see? That now Pakistani rupees devalued and it has gone to 177 Pakistani rupees is equal to $1 American dollar. So you see that life has become very much miserable in Pakistan. Up to 1975, you see that per capita income of Pakistan was greater than that of India. But what is now the position? Now the per capita income of India is far, far greater than that of the per capita of Pakistan. Now Indian per capita is around 2200, although it is meager if compared with the Western world. 2200 American dollar as per capita income to Indian people, and now for Pakistan it is 1500 American dollar. Now the GDP is 280 billion dollar. So what you see that Indian GDP has grown to more than 3 trillion dollar. So you see that Indian economy has now grown 10 times more than that of Pakistan. Most of the military hardwares, most of the food items are imported from China. So you see that there is a Pakistani Chinese axis growing up in this South Asian region. But as far as the economic situation is concerned, Pakistan is in dire strait. Pakistani army is sixth largest army in the world. In spite of being a nuclear state, Pakistan has come down under debt trap. Debt trap. Because of mismatch in its economy and adverse balance of payment, whereby import exceeded and import lessened, with the result that there is a scarce, there is a shortage of foreign exchange reserve, forex. So you see, that resulted into devaluation of money, and which led to inflationary trend that went up to 12% inflation in Pakistani economy, and the lives of common people have become miserable, and that's why this no confidence motion was moved against the incumbent Prime Minister. Now, you see, the present position, party position is National Assembly is like that. Out of the total strength of 342 members, the incumbent government enjoys only one support of 142 members, while the opposition enjoys more support of more than 176, and now their rank swelled to 192 members. So that's why it is imminent now that the no confidence motion will succeed tomorrow on 9th April, and the Pakistani Prime Minister Imran Khan will have to eat humble pie. Now, this is the composition of Senate, the upper house, and upper house comprises 100 members, and you see that PTI has 27 members, BAP 12 members, MP 3 members, while PPP, Pakistan People's Party, led by Bhutto, Bilawal Bhutto, has 22 members. Pakistan Muslim League, Nawaz N, has 18 members. So this is the composition of Senate, and different political parties have its share in the Senate. This is a permanent house. It cannot be dissolved. Now, because of the inflationary trend in economy and the life of people have become very much miserable, the price of petroleum products has gone out of the reach of the masses. There is a shortage of food items. People are at a loss to eke out their livelihood, and that's why opposition parties moved no confidence motion against the incumbent Prime Minister, and now his own party members ditched him and revolted against him and supported the opposition alliances. Now, if the no confidence motion succeeds against the incumbent Prime Minister, then the opposition parties in national assemblies will elect their own Prime Minister, and opposition party declared earlier that they will elect opposition leader Shahbaz Khan, the brother of Nawaz Sharif or Shahbaz Sharif will become the next Prime Minister of Pakistan. Conclusion. Friends, the landmark judgment of Supreme Court will strengthen the democratic institution in Pakistan. Second, Supreme Court took a complete turn on its earlier verdict of law of necessity. Military officers in Pakistan will now not dare to claim military regime in Pakistan. Why? Because any subversion of democracy or any disobedience of any subversion of the constitution of Pakistan or disobedience will attract the provision of the Article 6 of the constitution, whereby guilty would be accused of treason, and that will be death, the punishment of death. So now, after this landmark judgment, no military regime will dare to claim militarism in Pakistan. The supremacy of parliament will be established in due course, whereby other democratic institutions will also prosper, will blossom. With the strengthening of political leadership in Pakistan, India will find easier to establish diplomatic relations. Friends, as you know that with the inception of Pakistan, India waged 4 wars against Pakistan. Why? Because of the dominance of militarism in Pakistan and because of its desire to have parity with India. So most of the resources of Pakistan is now cornered by militarism. In order to have its desire to have parity with India, and friends, as you know that Indian economy is 10 times bigger than that of Pakistan. So the irrational logic of militarism will now be nullified by Pakistani people. Again, whenever government of India tried its level best to have normalization of relation with Pakistan, or the militarism always came into between and became harder, and so it resorted to terrorist activities, exported terrorists to create disturbance within the state of Punjab and Jammu and Kashmir. So friends, what you see that normalcy in Jammu and Kashmir will herald in with the strengthening of the democratic process in Pakistan. The grip of military officer over the other institutions of Pakistan will also become weak. Again, the brazenly corrupt militarism will also be checked by parliamentary supremacy. This judgment has heralded the supremacy of constitution in Pakistan, and this is a good sign for the development of democracy in Pakistan, in the domestic politics of Pakistan, and for the South Asian countries. So, thus this judgment will impact upon the politics of countries of South Asia in general and Pakistan in particular. So friends, now I am winding up my lecture. You might have benefited from this discussion on the current affairs of Pakistan. If you like my lecture, please share and subscribe my channel AJIS Academy Indore, and you will get numerous videos. Thank you very much.